All right, new day,
New shirt.
little squares. Welcome to part 2 of this 3-parter. The first parter was about recording. I'll put a link up here somewhere. This part is about mixing. Part 3 is going to be about mastering this song. If you think this thing might be kind of cool, hit that subscribe button like a crash cymbal. Okay, so I've been dialing in on this thing. I'm getting close. I listened on my computer upstairs in my kitchen. So what I found was the vocal sort of sticking out in front too far, and it's actually taken away from the power of the track. So the way I solved that was I brought the guitars up just a little bit, and then I put a doubler on the vocal, which is this plugin here, the Greg Wells. And I really like the doubler on here. It's very subtle, but I feel like I can make the vocal from being this wide to here. So this is what the verse sounds like.
We've been traveling through the ages, we've been growing in different stages, but somehow we can't seem to meet up.
So I'll tell you how I approached everything. I started with everything in. I don't tend to dial in a sound and then put the next sound in because everything interacts with each other. I started with the vocal, and what I did was I took frequencies out that I thought were sort of bogging it up and getting in the way. The little things that are ringing, and that's what these were.
We've been traveling through the ages, we've been growing in different stages.
Next I put on tape.
But somehow we can't seem to meet up.
I just wanted to thicken it up and smooth it out a little bit. This is a set of plugins that I use a lot. This is the Slate plugins. Here I'm emulating a Neve board.
We've been traveling through the ages, we've been growing in different stages.
So I'm driving it pretty hard. It gets saturation. It makes everything feel a bit bigger and smoother. Here is an API EQ. I love the top end on this thing. Nothing sounds smoother in the plugin world. I'm adding a bit more top to it, but this isn't quite as silky as the other one. If I take them off,
we've been traveling through the ages, we've been growing in different stages, but somehow
the API really gives you that feeling of intimate and close. I like this compressor a lot for making things sound smooth. So that was the goal there, was to really smooth it out. And then what I found was once I added some reverb to it, I felt like it was just a little distant feeling. I tried a couple parallel compressions. So what you do there is you put it into pre, put it up to unity, and then I drove it into this distressor in an opto setting, which is a slow kind of compression, and I brought that up. So without it,
we've been traveling through the ages, we've been growing in different stages.
Obviously it's louder.
Somehow we can't seem to meet up.
But it restores the closeness. The guitars, I worked on them together. There's just a little compression on them so that when they hit harder, it just bumps back the edge of the sound. If we go to the chorus, so if I take this processing off, they sound great. I just felt like they could be a little bit shinier, and by knocking just the edge off of them, they sound a bit smoother, more expensive, and they cooperate with the vocal. The drums, the cajon is in here. It felt really great, but I wanted to add more bottom, so I added a kick drum to it. And what I did was, I wasn't really looking for the kick drum to sound like a really aggressive kick drum. I just wanted it to feel size. So I took a Pultec EQ, I added some weight to it, brought off the bottom end because it didn't really need anything below 20. It just made it feel a little tidier. And sometimes when you do that, it's counterintuitive, but the sound almost feels a little bit bigger when you knock the bottom off. And I don't really know why that is. Maybe the speaker's not trying to reproduce a frequency that it can't. And then I've got a bunch of stuff on the master bus. I always put a meter on the master bus just to make sure that my gain structure is good.
It took 2 trips around the sun
This plugin here is emulating a Neve board again, and it's often something that I go for when I'm looking for smooth size. This is a distortion compression kind of a plugin. Makes it sound.
Trips around the sun. It took 2 trips around the sun.
Makes it sound thicker and smoother. Compression, holding the bottom end in.
Around the sun. It took 2 trips around the sun.
I like the way the tape plugged in warmed up the mix a little bit. I dialed it a little bit back because it felt a little bit heavy when I was really driving into it more. So I dialed it back, and when it felt heavy, the track felt like it was bogging to me. So it wasn't metering like there was too much bass. It didn't feel very good anymore. I like this on master bus so I can control the different elements. It's parallel.
Trips around the sun. It took 2 trips around the sun. It took 2 trips.
Gives really nice size. I added a little bit of top end. I pulled out a little bit in this area. It sounded a little bit harsh. It's not even hitting the maximizer. I did a little bit of widening at the very top end and a little bit of narrowing at the bottom. Short.
Trips around the sun. It took 2 trips around the sun.
Really short reverb on the vocal, and then the other main ingredient on the vocal is this delay, and I've put reverb on the delay. That's one of the reasons I really like this plugin, is you can add reverb, distortion, doubler without having to chain them all together. It's just right there. That way I could build the sense of space, because we were trying to recreate a live feeling. So it has the sense of space, but the vocal still feels really connected because the reverb is on the delay, and so you have a sense of reverb like space, but the vocal still feels really intimate. Little EQ. I had to take more mids out of the background EQs, especially in this section. So this area of these notes, which is the fundamental, were really, really strong, almost sounding like it was distorted. So I just dialed that back a little bit, and I felt like the vibe of it energized it and made it feel more open. Now I'm going to make another recording of this, and I'm going to listen in the car, in my kitchen again, and just on my phone speaker before I send it out. I just want to really make sure that it feels right. I know it sounds pretty good, but also does it feel like the setting? So the artist really wants this to feel like when he plays live. Of course, we could just record live, but it wouldn't be as, as sonically engaging if we just recorded a live gig. So he wants it to feel like that. So we want some live stuff. I want the reverb to feel like it's in a space, but I don't want it to overwhelm it. I still really feel like the vocal feeling intimate and connected is the way to go. We'll see what happens when I send it up. I got an app on my phone called Jukebox. I throw something into my Dropbox. He's in charge of a lot around here. I listen on the computer too. Because sometimes hearing and not listening is what needs to happen.
Trips around the sun.
I like the sound of everything. The vocal sounds really good. Guitars are creating the support that the song needs. The bottom end's coming from the cajon. I'm feeling good about how it feels. So I'm going to send it out to the artist and see what he thinks. I got a really nice message last night from The Living. He wants me to try 2 things, and those are try a little bit more reverb, and then where there's a stop in the second verse, he wants me to pull out the cajon so it lays out and there's just more of a musical break there. When I get feedback from an artist or a producer, and I really want that because I want us to all work together to find just the really right thing. So I look at that in a really positive way. So when I have something that I really like and I'm asked for a revision, first thing I'm going to do is save it under a new name. I use like a number system, 1.2, 1.3, and that way I can add to it, and if anything goes a little bit sideways, we can always come back to what we liked and work off of that again. Let's get started. I felt like the best solution, that's where I put the stop in the cajon. I did what I felt made musical sense and what I would do if I was playing it. And then I took the existing reverb and I just turned it up a little bit because I felt like it's very short, it's compact, the engagement level is good. So this gives it a bit more of a sense of space, which I think is what he's looking for. Love this part of the process. We're working together, we're dialing it in, and I think we're making this all that we can make it. We got to run it by one person who's the co-writer and the producer of the original version of the song, Chin, and we'll see what he has to say. And if everything's good, we're going to send it over to mastering, and I'm going to show you a little bit about the before and after of that process too. And now, through the magic of television, we're good to go for mastering. Got any questions? I'd love to hear from you. Hit me in the comments. And I've got nothing but respect for you if you're putting yourself out there, if you're recording, releasing material. It would be awesome to see you in part 3, mastering. Until then, put these on and, take action. Get some work done. Ooh, I just got a message from the living. Mastering's in. See you next time. I'll play it for you.